Welcome to JCPS 101. Today we're focusing on positive behavior and the Student Support Behavior Intervention Handbook, commonly called the SSBIH. Over the next 10 minutes, we'll explore why behavior support matters, how to be proactive, and how to respond when misbehavior happens. All behavior is communication. Students show us how they're feeling through their behavior. Anger often comes from unmet needs, or it could be control, gaining information, a need for safety, or just simply a need to be heard. We have to keep in mind it's not personal or about you. You get to choose how you spend your time each day, preventing misbehavior or reacting to it. Either way, in your classroom, you'll spend the time. So being proactive really pays off. And just remember, you can't de-escalate a student if you are feeling escalated. If you're upset or frustrated yourself, just remember, stay calm, regulate yourself first, and focus on changing the behavior, not just punishing it. Consequences are still appropriate and sometimes mandated, but keep in mind we need to teach and restore, not just remove. The number one factor in behavior is relationships. If a child doesn't know how to read, we teach. If a child doesn't know how to swim, we teach. If a child doesn't know how to multiply, we teach. If a child doesn't know how to drive, we teach. If a child doesn't know how to behave, do we teach or do we punish? Keeping in mind the importance of learning good behavior is a skill that we still have to teach. Taking the time to teach the expectations and the behavior we expect is also important. Success predicts success, and failure predicts failure. When students experience success, they gain confidence, enthusiasm, and independence. When they experience repeated failure, it can lead to low self-esteem and disengagement. The further the student rolls into failure, the harder it is to push them back to success. So getting them back to success is not impossible, but it is more challenging the farther the students are behind, whether that's academics or behavior. Keeping in mind, we want to start with the positive and be proactive rather than reactive. PBIS and RP. Positive behavior intervention and supports is the framework that we use in JCPS. PBIS and RP are two behavior systems. Tier 1 is universal supports. This is for all students. This is where you as your teacher will spend majority of your time. This is 80 to 90% of your students. Tier 2 is targeted group interventions for some students who are at risk. This is about 10 to 15%. Tier 3, this is intensive individual supports for the few, roughly about 1 to 5%. The stronger our Tier 1 supports are, the fewer the students will need Tier 2 and Tier 3. So as we look at some Tier 1, here are the essentials. When we're looking at school-wide behavior expectations, it's important that we teach, model, and reinforce expectations. When we're thinking about classroom norms and routines, we want to make sure that they're aligned to our school-wide expectations, as well as routines and procedures. So if you look to the right of the slide, expectations are outcomes. So you have be respectful, be responsible, and be safe. It's important to identify what does that look like. Rules and norms define the expectation. So what does responsible look like? Responsible looks like be prepared with a pencil, be in your seat when the bell rings, put away your lab equipment, Bring your planner to class and keep it in your desk. Those are all examples of being responsible. It's important that we take the time to teach and model these expectations. Positive feedback and acknowledgement. This is the core of building those positive relationships with your students. Implement an acknowledgement system for every student. Include the students in identifying possible acknowledgements. Provide positive feedback to your students in your classroom in the common areas. Remember, we want 4 positive to 1 negative. Acknowledge desired behavior in a timely manner. Collect and analyze your data to determine next steps to support students. High yield practices. Three strategies benefit every student. We have explicit instruction, active supervision, positive feedback, opportunities to respond. These strategies benefit all in every space, classrooms, hallways, and the cafeteria. Good teaching practices don't stop at the classroom door. We use them all throughout the day with all learners. Keeping in mind when you're explicitly teaching your students, where am I in the classroom? How am I actively supervising? Am I moving around the room? Am I walking past the areas that are higher spots with less attention and focus? Redirecting the attention. How is my classroom set up? Where are my desks in the classroom? These are all things to think about with active supervision. Giving those students positive praise and positive feedback. This could be nonverbal or verbal. Opportunities to respond. Making sure you're giving your students plenty of opportunities to respond. Verbal, thumbs up, thumbs down, holding fingers up, or written, verbal. Restorative practices. Restorative practices is the science of relationships and community. If you look here, this is a process, the nature of the process, not an outcome, that makes the response restorative or not. When we're looking at the blue, it is proactive. When we're looking at the red, it's responsive. When we look at the green, proactive and responsive are those restorative circles. The practices in blue are the proactive elements of restorative practices. So that is why we start with those restorative pieces. The practices in red are responsive elements and are used when a problem has occurred and are more effective when a restorative community is in place and relationships have already been built. Responding to misbehavior. The SSBIH gives us clear guidance on responding to misbehavior. It includes definitions of behaviors and interventions, progressive discipline guidelines, behavior codes, which are the dot pages, parameters for consequences, and due process. Use the behavior flow chart to decide what's classroom managed versus office managed. But also remember, every school might have a different process to this, even though every school has the SSBIH, making sure that you're familiar with your school and what the expectations are for the classroom managed versus office managed. It's important to familiarize yourself with the SSBIH so that when a behavior occurs, you know the levels and the next appropriate steps. Most importantly, we want to welcome students back and restore that relationship after any behavior. The SSBIH also offers a variety of resources on drugs and alcohol, suicide prevention, and bully prevention. Documentation. When writing referrals, be objective and specific. What did you see? What did you hear? Student threw a chair across the room. That is specific. We know exactly what the behavior was that the student did. Instead of student caused a disruption. There's a lot of things in our lives that can cause disruption. It's important that you're specific so that your admin team at your school best knows how to support you and the student. When a behavior occurs, remember that flow chart. Do your best to de-escalate the student and the situation. If the student has been removed, once again, welcome them back in the classroom. Everyone has a chance for a fresh start and restore the relationship. Here you will find resources for support, remembering you are not alone. Behavior Systems Department and the Culture and Climate team has a monthly newsletter that the admin team at your school will send out to you. This has links and supports and ongoing PD opportunities. If you can predict it, you can plan for it. If you can plan for it, you can prevent it. Planning for those misbehaviors will help you be the most successful you can be to prevent it. Dr. Terry Scott, University of Louisville. Thank you and have a great day.